Yo, welcome everybody. How you doing? How you living? You know what? Gia's running a little bit late, but don't worry, she'll be here soon. So let's be clear before we start off real quick. I don't like straw mans. All right. And we're gonna be talking about a real tough, difficult topic here. Let me just say this first. Porn is destructive. Porn rots men's brains, brain rot. Okay. Porn trains weak coping fantasies, dependencies, and sexual passivity. All right. So if you're waiting for me to defend porn, well, just stop right now. It's not happening. That's not what this is. What I'm going to be doing here, I'm challenging is the dishonest moral framework surrounding porn, especially inside Christian and conservative spaces. Because notice something. Every time porn comes up, the message is always the same. Men repent. Men are addicted. Men are broken. Men are the problem. And yes, men are responsible for what they consume. Absolutely. But here's the part that never gets said out loud. Who's producing it? Who's monetizing it? Who's building an entire industry extracting money from male sexual weakness? Funny how that part never gets into sermons, isn't it? Women like Ali Beth Stuckey and Lila Rose will rant all day about men watching porn. And again, they're not wrong about the damage, but they never confront the female supply chain with the same heat. Never. So it's always men stop. It's never women stop selling poison. And that's not accidental. That's incentives. And here's the reality nobody wants to name. When a wife cuts her husband off, intimacy-wise, right? And intimacy becomes a chore, he's trapped. His options are narrow. He can cheat or he could retreat into porn. OnlyFans as the whatsoever lesser of the two evils. That's when she finds out suddenly he's just not just juggling his porn addiction. Now she has the moral high ground. Now she has the leverage. And now she has justification to continue to not give him any sex or to pull the trigger. Divorce follows, asset splits, child support, and then sometimes alimony. Meanwhile, the OnlyFans girl already got paid from the subscriptions. And so what do you actually have? You have two women extracting resources from one man. One through subscriptions, one through the legal system. And the entire moral narrative condemns him. That's not righteousness. That's selective enforcement. And I'm not here to make men victims by any means. I'm here to expose a system that pretends men operate in a vacuum while women somehow are exempt from accountability. So men must take accountability, absolutely. But responsibility is not a gag order. So today, I have somebody that disagrees with this premise to some extent. And we're going to be discussing where our disagreements are in a friendly manner. And I got our good friends Rob and Avis here to kind of help moderate, make sure Glenn doesn't get in trouble while Gia's gone, because she's gonna yell at me if I say something dumb. But anyways, let's bring them up and let's get into it. Wait a minute, where you guys go? Oh, there you guys are. Nope, wrong person.
We're here, Glenn. We're here.
How's
it going, man?
Doing good. All right. So this is a live. So chat, get involved, chat. We are live today. So let me do this like this. There you go.
There we go.
All right. So GIFf, do you have anything you disagree with my opening statement?
Yeah. Well, let me introduce myself real quick.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
GIFf Lasta.
Yeah.
I'm the author of the book, The Way of Men with Maids, Forgotten Christian Wisdom for Becoming a Man Who Wins at Love. Basically bringing game to the church youth group. First book of its kind that I know of. And then I'm also the founder of the Reforged Marriage Program, where guys who have low sex marriages really want to reinvigorate sexuality in their marriage, cultivate attraction with their wives, really see incredible results. So about 60 guys in that community now and seeing some amazing stuff. So that's the background I come from, particularly with this topic. I was hooked on porn for 15 years. I was hooked on porn for 25 years ever since puberty. 15 years of my marriage, I was hooked on it. And then 8 years ago, I got clean. And that to me was what I call the rite of passage of the modern man. That's when I see in my mid 30s where I went from being a boy to being a man. So, and in that process afterwards, it was like, okay, now that I've done this, how do I rebuild sexuality in my marriage or build it for the first time in the right way? So the premise you're talking about is something I've lived. It's something I've coached other guys in quitting porn and in reinvigorating their marriages. And I've seen a lot of results. So that's where I'm coming from on this issue.
Okay.
So as far as where do I disagree with what you said? Well, I mean, I guess I don't, there's a lot that I agreed with. There was a lot that, hey, you know, the guy is part of a system, first of all, where he's got access to high-speed internet pornography, that there's a whole industry of incentives around making really, really, really enticing. That's really men haven't had to deal with ever before in human history. So that's a huge thing. And then there's also this thing where we seem to have an epidemic of low sex marriages, where it's not like that's never been a problem in the past, but sure seems to be a bigger problem than we've seen in the past. And so I agree with you that this is a big problem and the guys are up against a lot. Where I'm going to differ with your approach, at least as far as I understand it, is that the path for a man to be able to change all this is one of extreme ownership, where he doesn't take sort of half of the responsibility. He takes it all and runs with it. And when he does that, because of sexual polarity, because of the way that the female sex drive is wired to respond to a high value man in her life, that can unlock things that sort of shaming her and wagging your fingers at her isn't as effective. And a lot of guys are really surprised by how effective they can be when they in the past felt completely powerless.
Okay. Or do you want to ask a question?
Well, can I jump in and just maybe just stage something here? Just listen to one of the first things that GIFf shared there, and maybe you guys can then discuss. So you were kind of painting. You were saying that it's because of technology that, you know, in marketing and those sort of things that they've made porn really enticing. But
it made it exist. I mean, high-speed internet porn exists. It did not.
Right. But you used the word enticing. What did you mean by that? And I think that's what I want to kind of get at. Like, has the technology made it enticing, or has the technology enabled something that was already enticing?
That's the same thing with social media, right? The algorithms, the you know, like the sort of Pavlovian stuff that they really game and they tweak. You know, people make a lot of money making those things better and better and better.
Blame the white people.
Rooster chiming in.
Rooster's got a lot of conversation. Yeah, dude.
All right, so let me ask you this. Before we go any further, GIFf, like, do you believe pornography is evil only because men consume it, or because women profit from producing it?
Well, the primary evil, I would say, is the harm it does to the man. Okay. And I do think my perspective is a little different than the way that churches have looked at it in the past, because they've looked at it in the same vein as just general lust. Like the guy who's married to his wife, just not enough for him, and so he wants to go sleep with the other guy's wife, right? And I do think porn is a little bit of a different character, even though people try to say, "Oh, well, looks pretty similar. It's sexual sin, right?" But I think it's of a different character, especially if the guy has been hooked on it since puberty, like since his body even knew what sex was. this is the pattern he has been trained on for dealing with his own sex drive. So I think that's a primary harm that it does. And then there's a secondary harm because men are the backbones of society. They're the backbones of the family. They're the backbones of everything, especially in a marriage. He is the frame that she is leaning on against. And so if that frame's not there, if that foundation is not solid, then she's going to suffer. So there's secondary negative effects there. Now, the fact that we have industries where people are profiting from this, yeah, that really sucks. Mm-hmm. However, where I'm not real big is putting faith in, well, if we can only just get some laws passed and ban all this, we'll be golden. It's like, well, okay, you let me know how that goes. Just keep me posted. In the meantime, I'm going to focus on what the guy can do with his situation right there, not hold out hope that the laws are coming to save us.
Well, I agree with you. I don't think that you can legislate morality, for one. I think we try to legislate morality, but it doesn't always work. I mean, we mean it in good faith. We try to, but it doesn't always work. But I guess the question is, like, do you believe a moral system can be considered just if it condemns it, but doesn't refuse to address the supplier of it? Like if we're only addressing men for their consumption of it, is that a solution, or is that a half-assed problem?
See, I go the other way, right? I go when you're talking about his consumption of it. What I focus on
who's more responsible, the drug dealer or the drug addict?
I mean, you could say, you could say on the one hand, the drug dealer is very responsible for it. On the other hand, on the life of the addict, there's the whole other side, which I think is what you want to get at too at the debate, is he has a life that he wants to escape from in the first place. Right. And that is really where I focus on this, isn't even on the porn use of the guy, but of what is he not doing with his sex drive, with his virility in his life? What tools has he not been trained on? Because we don't teach young men the tools that they need for effective manhood. That's what I focus on. So that's like, I'm locked into that. And then people will say, well, we're going to do this campaign. We're going to ban porn. We're going to limit it. And I'm like, that sounds great. That's just, bless you. But that's not what I'm campaigning on. That's not where I'm focused on, because that's not where I'm seeing results right now. I'm seeing results on what I can actually do in individual guys' lives. So I don't have an agreement or disagreement there.
Because I would say both individuals are at guilt. They have responsibility. Both are at fault. Sure. Right? Yeah. The consumer and the dealer. That's why we have laws that, punish the dealer or the drug addict and the drug dealer, right? When we go the war on drugs, we don't just attack the addicts, we go after the supplier too. So I think that anytime anybody's addressing pornography, and if it's only men, stop watching it, it's dirty, it's bad, you're getting brain rot. And if that's your whole argument there, but you're not talking to the women who are producing it, you're virtue signaling. It's more like you're giving women an excuse, an escape. What they do on camera, it's not their fault that you decide to watch them. Like, they're just naked there doing stuff. It's not their fault that you want to watch them. Like that it's not. So it's not the drug dealer's fault that you want to buy drugs from him. Like, the drug dealer has a moral responsibility also not to sell poison. So I would say everybody would have a moral responsibility. The dealer would not to sell this type of stuff or not to produce this type of stuff. And they're just as guilty for the production of it as he is guilty for the consumption of it.
So Glenn, do you have any numbers on that? Like, what percentage would we say of American men in their use porn versus what percentage of American women produce OnlyFans videos?
So I think it's like one home. Let me just pull it up real quick. But Banna,
I've heard the percentages in married.
yeah, it's
marriages.
pretty
I mean,
bad.
it's pretty
Like,
high. It's
I
like
mean,
40,
I think
50%, right?
it's like 80 to 90% of men in their lifetime will have consumed porn.
Yeah, but one time, okay, but with some regularity, right? Like,
yeah. Let me see here. It's the Banna. I'll pull it up. Banna Christian.
And Glenn, will this give it to you in the split between single men and married men?
Yeah.
Well, is there a difference? Do we care? If we're just looking out for the man, it doesn't matter if he's married or single, right?
Well, it's actually it does. It does matter because you'll see that the male married men have a higher consumption
Okay.
than non-married men at times.
It will. I'd actually be a little surprised at that
in the Christian community. That is. That's.
But I agree. It's a big deal and it's very pervasive.
It's not a small number, whatever this number ends up.
No, it ain't. I mean, it'd be over 50%.
This is this article is from October 17th, 2024. It's the most current one that I could find. Here, let me pull it up here on the screen for you guys. All right, so does it show? Nope, here we go. And come on. Oh, I gotta get rid of that one. Okay, there we go. There it is. It says over half of practicing Christians admit they use pornography.
No surprise.
Yeah. Pornography is now readily available. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Since Banna started porn phenomenon, adults consuming pornography rise 6% points increase from 55 to 61. Right. They also have notable upticks in the number of women accessing pornography content. 39 to now 44. So it went from 55% in 2015. Now it's about 61%. Now this is Christian men.
Yeah, how does it compare to non-Christian men?
They show the breakdown. It's like it's very minimal statistic difference. Just over half of practicing Christians report consuming porn with some level of frequency, including 22% who view it weekly, or 7% daily, or 15%. Yeah. The numbers are climb among non-practicing Christians, the non-Christians and non-Christians. Okay. The reality is the majority of all Christians have some sort of history of engaging with pornographic material. All right. So practicing Christians, here we go. Right. 43 say less often or never. We know that's a lie.
How does people that don't know, how do they not know?
Non-practicing Christians, 37%.
Right. So, I mean, the point is a lot of on the order, we'll say for the sake of this discussion, on the order of half.
Yeah.
Right?
But it does appear, if I'm reading that correctly, it is more persuasive.
It's more on the
pervasive. Thank you. In Christian marriages than it is non-Christian marriages. Yeah.
Exactly. And so
that's not what I'm seeing. It looks like the Christians have.
Oh yes, you're right. I'm reading that backwards. They're saying 43% self-reported.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah. So
okay.
So less among the Christians than non-Christians, but not much less.
Yeah.
Not much.
Here's the interesting thing is I'll give you a little bit of information from the helping guys quit porn, the guys who sort of coach guys to quit. Christian men have a harder time quitting than non-Christian men.
Oh yeah, because the non-Christian men are probably getting some.
That's one theory. Could be.
Okay, I mean, let's just be honest here. Anytime you try to address a problem, if you don't address both sides of the problem, I don't care how much you work on you. You working on you does not guarantee she's going to respond positively. All right. It's almost like telling them if you build it, they will come. All right. This is not the field of dreams. All right. The reality is that there's accountability on both sides here. And you seem to be wanting to take the accountability off of her and put it on to him, as if her refusal is his fault.
So
Am I
now
getting
so
there?
you're going. You were talking for a moment about the guys producing versus consuming. So what's the worst?
I'm talking
But you're
about where did Gia go? She made a cameo and left.
it's just like nah.
No, she'll be back. I was going off of like, so based off of like, you know, those numbers, we already see like that's a lot of numbers that Christian men consuming it that are married, right?
Yeah. No, I'll accept that. I'll say let's say half for the
Okay.
for the sake of the discussion. Half of Christian married guys are watching porn.
And
I'll
then you want to know
accept
how many American women?
like what percentage is, say if we're doing Christians, what percentage of Christian women are posing for OnlyFans? I don't think it's half.
Well, why did it have to be Christian women posing for OnlyFans?
Well, it's just apples to apples.
Well, that wouldn't make sense. But okay, okay, that's gonna be a good one. Let me do it this way. How
But I would say
self-proclaimed
that's more like
Christian
2%
women are
or
posing for
something, right?
OnlyFans? All right, I said self-proclaimed because you know everybody has.
We don't have to go look that up. That's basically, that would be my answer to the question. Why aren't we spending half the time talking to the guys about their porn use versus the girls about their, you know, posing on OnlyFans? I would say, well, part of the reason is because a lot more guys are looking than girls are actually on OnlyFans. It's a much larger percentage.
I don't even think you need to look at it just from like the Christian angle. Like there's a lot of girls that are on OnlyFans that claim to be Christian.
Sure.
You know,
They
like,
shouldn't be. Here, I'll join you. Stop it.
But what I'm getting at is that like you should. I think the question is how many wives admit to like denying their husband sex? How many Christian wives deny their husband sex?
Right, and that's the interesting question. That's where it gets more into my wheelhouse.
Okay,
and we can dive into that.
So, how many Christian women deny their husband sex? GIFf.
See, if I would say, okay, I don't have the stats on me, but for the sake of discussion, let's say half. Let's say half of Christian marriages are sexually frustrated, low sex marriages, unhappy on the sexual front.
Well, I think it's like 65% of Christian men have complained about lack of frequency, right?
Yeah,
you know, something like that. But I think there's like the majority of women are satisfied with their sex life, from what I understand. It's like 65% of the Christian women.
Ooh, that twisted GIF's face up a little bit. He didn't like that.
I don't believe him. They don't know. They don't know how it can be.
Women?
Yeah.
What was I looking at? Okay, how many Christian wives? Oh, deny. That's right.
While he's looking that up, GIFf, let me just circle back for a minute to the, like we were talking about the drug dealer and the druggie. I mean, drugs, porn, right? All these things, they're filling voids in people's lives. At least that's what I would say.
Absolutely.
Right? Like, I mean, what is the void that's being filled? And then,
sure. Well, and that I would say, coming from a background of helping guys quit porn and having gone through that in my life. Hey, Gia, nice to have you. Just so you know, I was hooked on porn 25 years, right? So and been clean for 8. And so if it's like, would I characterize it? And the guys that I've been with and seen quit porn, that the real problem was just a lack of sex. I would say that is not the case. That is not what is driving it. What is driving it is a life that they want to escape from. And the low, maybe a low sex
life they want to escape from.
That's
one of the pains. That may not be the primary one.
So, okay, I got a study here that says a 2022 general survey, social survey studies reporting that summarized by graphs about religion share that evangelicals say that they've had sex at least once a month was about 60%, right? That implies the roughly 40%
a low
less than
sex
a month.
what they
right?
call what the technical definition of a
A
sexless,
sexless marriage is
once a month or
10
less.
times a year.
Yeah, that times a year. I've heard that statistic.
Yeah, so 40%.
Yeah, so 40% are saying it's less than once a month. Okay.
Right.
Wilcox and Wang, that's a horrible last name, report that about 2/3 of couples who attend regular religious services have sex at least weekly, versus less than half among the couples who don't attend at all. Suggests that religious practice in association can be included with more frequency on average, not less. But if you brought in beyond the term Christian, you say sexless marriages definition, 10 times per year, estimated are commonly cited in about 15 to 20% of couples, range in general pop commentary. Yeah, so 60% of couples are at least having sex once a month. Now, is that enough for you? You think that's sufficient?
No.
Okay, so then there's obviously a discrepancy here. Husbands, they're getting it. If 60% are getting it once a month, we'll just say that's the bare minimum.
God, and if you're getting it once a month, what is the quality of that sex?
So, and you're going to say, well, that's the husband's fault.
Blame me, man. Put the blame right here.
Okay.
So
walk me through this so I can understand this, because
what I'm saying, here's what I do. So guys came to me, 14 guys, 2 weeks ago, came with me to start a cohort to say, okay, I'm frustrated with the lack of sex in my marriage, and I'm gonna coach them. I'm going to lead them to a place where they can get better. And if they don't feel like they've had some real improvement and they put in the work, they get a full refund, right? I don't get paid unless they see results. And what's the first thing that I want to teach these guys is to own it. Own the problem. Don't assume it's in anyone else's court. And when guys adopt that frame of extreme ownership around sexuality, they position themselves in a frame where they're most likely to succeed. And so let
me ask you this. Do you believe 1 Corinthians 7?
Oh yeah, I've got a big long post of that, but we might digress if we try to dig into that. But we can.
Clearly it says, right? Now concerning the matter which you wrote about, it is good for a man not to have sexual relations with a woman, but because of sexual temptation to sexual immorality, each man should have his own wife and each woman have her own husband. The husband should give his wife her conjugal rights. Likewise, the wife to her husband. For the wife does not have authority over her body, but the husband does. Likewise, the husband doesn't have authority over his body, but his wife does. Do not deprive one another, except perhaps by an agreed amount of time that you devote yourself to fasting and prayer.
Absolutely.
Then
right.
Join together again so that Satan may not tempt you because of your lack of self-control. So they're already getting married because they know they're burning. They need to get married because they're going to be doing some sin, and they'll be fornicating and doing a whole lot of, and they do not want to go to hell for it. So they get married. And then this is a command. It's not a concession. And it's pretty clear what is required for both husband and wife, right?
So if we're talking, do we want to go there? 1 Corinthians 7.
We could.
I mean,
I did.
So here's the part where I am not on board with a lot of people's interpretation of that. We're talking about first century, a first century Iron Age culture here. Do you think people are coming to the church leaders in Corinth, which is in Greece, right? And where a husband has absolute authority in his home, he can put people to death. Mm-hmm. And they're like, Pastor, my wife isn't sleeping with me. I asked her really nice, but she said no. Do you think? And he's like, well, I don't know what to do. Let me write St. Paul a letter and see how he responds. Do you think that's what's going on?
No, I think it's the other way around. I think the women are going like, he is trying to do marital grape. And this is before marital grape was a thing. And then he's like, yo, ladies, this is his, yours is.
I think neither. I think neither. Like there was just no question. There's no question.
Are you trying to imply like this passage does not say what it says?
I'm saying the idea that husbands and wives are going to pastors trying to adjudicate their dead bedrooms is absurd. That is not what's going on.
But what is it then? What are you trying to say? What do you think it's saying then?
What's going on in the first century?
First of all, how do you know that's not happening?
Because it's the first century.
Okay, so wait, you observed that reality.
It's a patriarchal culture.
So no, you didn't. So you can't say that.
I can get what his premise is. He's basically saying like men own them as property.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. Do you get hungry and thirsty?
Yes.
Okay, right. We can all agree we get hungry and thirsty. It's a need, correct?
I mean, sure.
Right. It's a need. We'll die without it. So if one person can offer you food and water, that only person is your wife.
No, I know where you're going. Right. You don't have to like baby.
Whose job is it to provide that?
See, here's the thing.
Just it's a simple yes or no. Whose job is to provide that?
Not doing it.
So you don't want to answer the question. Okay, that's fine. But I'm going to let you know something. If a woman wants sexual agency in a relationship, they have to also take responsibility for initiating and sustaining desire. Otherwise, what you have is a leverage. You have a leverage in a marriage. You don't have a real connection. What you're doing is you're collapsing the difference between leadership and basically ownership. So you're saying influence is ownership, which is not. Right? If there is no sex and it must be your husband, and you're saying it must be the husband's ownership, he has to self-own, right? Yes. Even if the wife doesn't want sex, that assumes it's one-sided.
All right. What's your real question for me?
So no, I've already asked you a question. You didn't answer it. So what I'm trying to get at is a relationship has two people in it. Two agents, and each of those agents have their own self-agency, meaning they have to own that agency. Self-ownership means you control your choices, not another adult's desire. You can't control another person's desire.
Gia, do you believe that there is any negotiating genuine desire?
No, absolutely. You cannot negotiate it. It's given freely, or it isn't. Okay. But what I'm trying to say is you cannot own or override somebody else's libido. So when you say a man has to have self-ownership, you're framing it as it's entirely a man's responsibility. So what you do is you strip the wife of accountability, responsibility for desire, her own agency. That's not empowerment. You're infantilizing a woman. You're basically making her out to be a child.
Actually, let me ask you this. So if it's,
you'd have to show me where I'm doing all that. But
if it's solely on the husband's responsibility, right? Could I say, like, let's say the husband can't get an erection. His wife blew up. She's like a beach whale now. He can't even rise to the occasion if he wanted to. Whose fault is that? Is it his fault that he doesn't like fat women, or is it her fault that she's fat? Like,
yeah, no. I mean, she definitely has responsibility for herself. There's no question about that. The frame that I recommend for guys, and that's effective for them righting this ship, is not a 50-50,
it's not 50, it's 100-100 though.
Partnership kind of frame. It is an extreme ownership that owns it all. Okay,
but I'm saying it's 100% on both sides. It's not 50-50. It needs to be 100 and 100, don't you think?
I don't look at it like that.
I mean, you can't go into a marriage 50-50. Both parties have to give 100%.
Right. And I think that's the kind of thing I was raised in with the evangelical church, right? That it's just, you have two spouses, 100%, you both come and you give it all. And then you find, once you're both giving it all, you find something good. And there's truth to that, but it's not It is not a sexualized truth. That's
so-
that's a general truth that's true of any sort of partnership. But when you actually bring sexual polarity in, there is a lead and response aspect to it. That's what intersexual dynamics involves. And
Mhm.
so there is an aspect where he needs to lead for her to be able to follow. And there is an order of operations. And that's the thing that hasn't been taught. And yes, on the one hand, it puts more responsibility on the man, but it also puts a lot more power in his hands.
let me ask you this. Let me walk you through this, or walk me through this. Okay, I'm going to tell you a story. So I'm a guy. I'm a guy. My wife ain't having sex with me. GIFf. I don't know what is going on. Okay, like I'm doing all the things. You know, I started doing the chore play thing.
Oh, yeah.
I'm vacuuming when I'm walking. I get home. I'm folding laundry. Like I'm helping her out with hers. I'm tucking the kids in the bed. I even run her bath for her. You know, like and
I give her little massages. Right?
Still, no sex in the champagne room, like none.
I even
What am I
ask
doing wrong,
nicely.
GIFf?
And I provide, right?
Yeah. On top of that, she don't even work.
Right. And so in those questions, there's this idea that like, okay, I did all that. I fulfilled all of my end of the covert contract, and she hasn't done her part. And what do I tell those guys? Like, yeah, oh gosh, what a horrible woman you're married to. You did all the things. You're following her lead everywhere, and she's just not getting horny for you because something's broken with her, right? She's just a low libido
I'll tell
woman.
you what. She told me this, like, can't have sex during the weekdays.
Yeah, she
And
made some
always
rules,
said-
right? And I followed all the
She
rules.
said, look, only time to have sex is between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. And I don't get home until 9 p.m.
I had one. I'll tell you this,
You got a tough marriage there, Glenn.
dude.
No, this is serious.
Glenn's trying
This
to-
is a real story.
Yeah, Glenn's trying to like paint it like, oh, this is really extreme. Dude, I will tell you, I had a guy tell me 2 weeks ago that her rule is only after 3 a.m. She's got a different schedule.
So,
She's
but
more
what do
of
you-
a night out.
How are you going to tell him this is all his fault?
It's the only way anything's going to change. It's the
But-
only way anything's going to change. If he thinks, well, she's got to stop making this rule. Only when she stops making the rule and changes the rule will I be able to do anything different or have anything different. No. What I teach men is frame. What I teach men is to take ownership of their lives and for them to start setting the rules, not putting it in their hands, not playing her games and doing the sort of things where she's pulling all the strings. They start building value, they start building frame, and they start creating actual leverage. And that is the thing that starts to change things in the relationship. Whereas jumping through all her hoops does not.
So, but again, you can't give him an action plan that's actually guaranteed to produce anything.
This is where GIFf and I don't see eye to eye on this, but
Yeah, because it's like you're. What is the action plan? What does it look like?
Who is in control in that situation, right? Because what I hear you saying is, I got two choices. I can, my wife's either gonna have sex with me, or I'm gonna go to the garage and clean the garage, or whatever it is I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do something other than sex. It's either no sex or sex with my wife. And that to me is not that you're exhibiting some sort of leadership frame. You're at the mercy of her whims. You don't have the ability to say, yeah, I like sex and I enjoy sex. What are the options I have? Like your options are defined by your wife.
So let me ask you this, Rob, like at any point in your life, are you as a man guaranteed sex? If you're a single guy, are you guaranteed sex?
Absolutely.
The wanting.
No.
But I really want it. I mean, I feel like I'm going to explode. I'm a single guy,
Sure.
and I feel like I'm going to explode if I don't get off.
Well, I mean,
And
what are
so
most
I have
single
a
men
right
doing?
to it,
They're
and
I mean,
so
they're
I gotta have
entire
it.
married or single. I mean, what is the world revolves around sex, right? People are basically like everything they do is somewhat centered around sex. You could almost argue.
Oh yeah, no,
In a way, right?
drive
People
is
want power, they want
strong,
money,
and
they
it does
want
make
all
the
this thing.
world
All
go
this is
around.
for sex.
But at a certain point, like if you're married, if you're single, we don't have a way where you just get it on tap just because you feel like you need it, right? You have to position yourself so that your chances of getting what you want are increased. Like that's how you go at things in life.
Isn't that what marriage is? Increasing your chance, positioning yourself.
Well, it's why
Oh,
most men
absolutely,
get married.
absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. And married people have more sex than single people, just on average. Absolutely, they do.
That's mind you, that statistic is self-reported.
I don't know about those married couples having it one time. a month.
Well, I don't know how it could be anything else, but
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, if you got couples that are those 40% that are not getting it once a month, less than once a month, don't think they're getting it more than the
there are
single
a lot
guy.
of single guys not getting laid either.
That is true, but I mean, there are still. Here's the problem with this like framework is the guy could do whatever he can to improve himself. I get that self-improvement. I tell guys that all the time. Make yourself, but improve yourself for yourself, not
Absolutely.
for her, right? Like improve yourself because you want to be a better version of you, not so much that you want to please her. But him leveling up and improving himself and making himself more sexually desirable, because I would say like dread would probably be something that you would say, probably like a soft dread or a passive dread,
Right.
where like
What
other
they call
women are
passive
noticing
dread.
you, right?
Got Ryan's book right here.
Yeah, I got it too. I got it over here. I would also say that like you'll probably you probably like push back on guys practicing overt dread, you
Right.
know,
Just be
straight up
well, but
flirting with
from
chicks.
that same point of view, that like that's going to be a potential short-term gain and long-term loss. It's what is your goal there, right? If you want to make,
I would say this: the root core is there's a lack of respect.
yes, I agree.
Now, he can try to, if he panders to her, try to earn her respect, he lost. It's an L.
I think I agree with it. It's certainly part of it. Certainly, if his goal is to get her respect, to
No,
negotiate.
his goal is to get his wife to open up her legs because that's what he got married for. Like, you know, he
Poor
didn't want
mouth,
to
Glenn.
fornicate
You know,
and
we're not
have
too picky.
sin.
Avis, I kind of like want to get Avis's opinion here. I want to know, like, when did sex really get good in your marriage? When was like that moment?
1984.
Was there like a time that got really amazing?
I
between the
mean,
two of
I
you?
feel like I felt if you would ask me at any point in my marriage, I would tell you sex is good, but it just keeps getting better, if that makes
What-
sense. Like it's
what-
always
what-
been good.
What caused that? Like, what do you think helped that cause?
Certainly Rob and I getting to know one another and having discussions around sex and what we like or don't like, or
Did you start like getting more into fitness and like what you see in the mirror? Maybe you start dressing up nicer. Maybe you start initiating more.
I would never show you a picture of what I looked like when we started dating, but
I put one on the internet. People have seen it.
oh great. I have definitely gotten better looking, I think.
So you would agree that female sexuality has a lot to do with how they look in the mirror and what they see, like how we see ourselves.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And I'd
Yeah.
agree with that line, Gia. That line of thought and that thrust, that her seeing to her own health and her own self-image is going to benefit.
So then, Avis, do you think that because of the fact that you like what you see, you're more willing to put on outfits, you're more willing to engage, maybe flirt with him, have fun? Would you say that that's correct?
Heck yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so you have to, that in itself just tells me that we as women have to take responsibility and that's what it is. It's taking responsibility of that area.
Yeah. But you also know I'm a strong proponent of no matter how you feel when you look in the mirror, if your husband wants you to get naked and have sex with him, you get naked and have sex with him because his opinion matters more than your own opinion of yourself, right? Like, I mean, never
Exactly.
stop working on yourself, but like if your man wants you,
Absolutely. So let me ask you, Rob, in your own experience with your marriage, did you notice that, was there ever a time where you were the one taking the responsibility to initiate?
Ever taken? I mean, sure. I mean, it's a back and forth. Yeah.
Okay. So you could say honestly that the fact that she initiates and she shows that desire, that makes it all the worth, that makes it even more exciting.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nice that, you know, it's nice that you have a chick that feels attracted to herself and likes to get naked.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
know, it
So
makes a
I
huge
know
difference.
in my own marriage, our sex got even better when I start taking that initiative, when I start owning it, right? Because I came from a family of a purity culture where holding hands, looking at kissing on TV, oh my goodness, that was bad. Turn it off, right?
Mm.
And I had to learn that this is within a marriage something I should embrace, something that I should enjoy. So my husband broke me out of that. And I mean, slowly I start taking the responsibility. And when I did take that responsibility, that's when things got really amazing in our marriage. So
Ooh,
that is,
now I want to hear, Gia, how did he do that? You said your husband broke you out of that.
by
How did
I
that
don't know
happen?
if you want to know all those secrets.
by setting the limits, by setting the limits that this is not acceptable, that I'm not cool with this.
So tell me, so specifically, so for you, the core part of your story was you were like, and he was like, no, not cool.
Yeah. He was like, I'm not cool with this.
So what were what were you doing when he would,
Just like
initiate?
simple things like what we learn is, oh, don't hug or kiss in public. Oh, don't wear that outfit because it's, immodest, right? Like we
Okay.
hear this growing up, and it's coming from purity culture.
Mm, mm. So there were all those messages that were basically, they're like, save it for marriage, but then even in marriage, there's all this
Correct.
residual like shame
You
about
can't,
being
you have
sexual.
to understand that women work off of consistency, off of habits. So what you train her as a child, you can't say that she's going to change. Like that comes with her. Like at 7 years old, our minds are pretty much well developed, like, and how our
Mm.
habits are going to be formed. So what you tell and how they're raised, and I don't think that there's enough talk about this online. I get what you're saying. Yes, I do think that as an individual, you can make a lot of changes. I agree with that. Just by owning your part. But if the other person is let off the hook, then technically it's not going to last long term. You can't always be the one engaging it.
So what I see in your story that does resonate with how I coach the guys in this is kind of leading that path for her, right? So if
You
she's
can
had
make
all,
her aware. You can definitely make her aware.
well, and in the incentives that you set, and the things that you just like, that you don't
But
tolerate
why
and
are
just
you
go along
okay?
with them.
So you said incentives. Why did you choose that word?
Because I don't use the word control. I don't think good leadership
But
as a husband.
why would incentives or not incentives have anything to do with control?
Well, I think good leadership does set incentives, but good leadership does not try to control the other person. That's the
So
distinction I make. But
okay.
anyway, the point I was trying to make was the idea of the path that you're talking about going through, where you're like, it is okay and good to be sexual. That is a key thing that often, because of that sort of purity culture background or just other inhibitions that women have around it, that it very much is, the onus does end up being on the guy to change the culture around that. It's like, no, this can be fun. This can be good. And you can embrace that about yourself. You can be horny. You can be sexual. And it's a good thing.
He can definitely make her aware that this is not cool. Okay. Or I'm not good with this. I agree with that. You have to speak up. You can't be walking on eggshells in your own home. I agree with that.
Standard.
But at
Gotta
the
have
end of the
standards.
day, you cannot override somebody's libido. That's what I'm trying to get at.
What does libido respond to in your book? Because we did talk earlier about the sort of nice guy beta provider. Why isn't she hot for me?
Well, I would say it's arousal factors, right? You know, there's provider traits or beta traits, like the good husband. You know, he likes likes the kids. He has a good relationship with his mom. He brings you. He'll watch the rom-com with you when you're on your period. Like, you know, like those beta traits, right? But then you have the arousal factors, right? Like these are the things that get her going. They start her engine. You know, like I say, Gia doesn't like this, but I say women are like an old Porsche. You know, you gotta like, you know, warm that engine up a little bit. They're not like a light switch like a guy. A guy, you can just flip the light switch on, he's good to go. But women, you gotta, you know, put a little bit of something into there to get her warmed up.
There's definitely multiple things. There's attraction and the arousal that comes in terms of attraction, and that's the sort of the way the man presents himself. But then there's some of the stuff that Gia's talking about, the way she feels about herself, her health, her hormones, all that other stuff. That does play a part. I do.
You can agree that a woman's sexuality, like, it starts in her head, right? You understand that, right?
Well, and her body.
Right, but it starts in her head, right?
I mean,
or not in our heads.
Well, so what I'm
trying to say, wanting to get out of her head.
What I'm trying to say is, yes, it absolutely starts in her head. So if a guy could have done everything right, he could be providing, he could be going to the gym, he could be doing everything right. But if she doesn't like what she sees in the mirror, it does not matter what he does.
I wouldn't go that far, but
Why?
I do. But I think it.
Why though?
I think you're right. It has a big impact.
But hold on. But why? Why not go that far when it's like factual?
I don't agree that the sort of changes he makes in him has no sway if she has a poor self.
But I didn't say that though.
You said it does not matter what he does, so that's why.
No. I said, whatever he does, whether it be providing, going to the gym, he's doing everything right. But if she doesn't like what she sees in the mirror, it doesn't matter what he's doing. It has to start in her head and what she sees in the mirror.
Do you think
she doesn't find herself attractive is what you're saying? If she doesn't find herself sexy, she's not going to feel sexy, or mentally. So if she's not mentally thinking that she's sexy, she's not going to feel in the mood to be sexy, because she's going to have an insecurity about, oh, I don't think I look sexy, so I don't want to do sexy time because I don't feel sexy.
That's all crucial. That's all crucial. But do y'all think that he has no impact on whether or not she feels sexy about herself?
No. I'm not saying that at all. Absolutely. Okay. But this is what, okay. So you acknowledge, so you acknowledge with that's factual. Okay.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
If you can honestly say that that's factual, then we know that the responsibility is a mutual responsibility.
She definitely has responsibility for herself.
Great. We've solved it. We can end this. Let's go. Close it up.
So when I talk about this stuff, when I talk about extreme ownership, and I talk about a woman's responsibility, that I see it as delegated in a relationship. You taking 100% of that responsibility in leadership includes holding her accountable. It includes encouraging good things and discouraging bad things and all that stuff. It doesn't mean I only look at my own thing and I don't look at anything that she's doing. And I think that we each have 100% moral responsibility for everything. What has been game-changing for a lot of guys, though, is learning how responsive a woman's libido can be to a man and the way he presents himself. That was game-changing to me, and it's been game-changing to a lot of guys. And it's why you can't negotiate genuine desire.
I don't think you negotiate genuine desire. I'm not advocating for it at all. I don't want pity sex. I don't think no man wants pity sex.
Right. See, and that's the other angle on all this. That, like, as far as they're like, well, she should just always say yes. A lot of times the path out of a like purity culture, duty sex kind of rut is letting her know that she can say no. And that her having the feeling of sexual agency, maybe for the first time, lets her actually say, oh, I actually want it. and I'm going to own that I want it. Not I am giving you your obligated compliance, which is all I've for the whole marriage with some of these guys. It's like the
Let me
only
ask you
thing
this,
she's
though.
experienced.
You just said that that he delegates, right? And he has
Yeah.
to hold her accountable.
Sure. And
How
you
do
can't do
hold-
that without having established real relational leverage, actual power in that.
Well, no,
relationship.
you can't do it without having authority or leverage. You have to have one or the other, preferably both, right? But if she is already disrespecting you by not making herself available to you,
By saying no to her husband.
yeah, by denying you, like not caring that your needs are not being met, that she's not fulfilling her vows that she would agree to, right? Even though you are trying to be the best husband for her, she can't even complain about you, right? How do you?
She's
get
not
her
attracted
accountable?
to you. That's
Yeah,
that's a lot
she
of it.
lost attraction. Fine.
She lost attraction because at a primal gut level, she doesn't respect you. On paper, she does. She
You
thinks
realize
she
that
does.
98% of all
No, she
marriages
thinks
lose
that she does.
attraction, right? 98% of all marriages say they lost attraction. So if 98% of couples say that they lose attraction, we know attraction can come and go, correct?
It's like happiness.
I don't know if the way I'm using that word, I don't know if it's the same as whatever that statistic is. I do think that attraction is very important. And genuine desire is very important. Can you have genuine desire for someone you're not attracted to?
Obviously not. You have to have, and this is where I get the guys that need to maintain that desire, maintain that attractiveness. Wives try to kill their husband's attractiveness. They don't want them to work out no more. No, they lie and they say dad bods are hot. Like, come on now, we know that's not true.
Right, but they reward it when you do.
No, they don't reward it when you do dad
even
bod.
if they try to disqualify it while you're working towards those goals. Once you actually have it.
The dad bod?
No, not they don't reward the dad bod.
But
There's the rhetoric on the one hand, and then the actual primal response on the other, and that's what you need to be paying attention to.
I tell guys never to lose their attractiveness, never lose that sexiness. Like whatever you did to attract her, you got to maintain that, if not improve that. Okay, like that doesn't change. We both know that men and women do, like get comfortable in relationships, and they kind of slouch, let themselves go a little bit, but whatever. I tell them not to drop their attractiveness. But at the same time, if I flip that on you, again, I didn't get the question answered. What if the wife let herself go and the husband cannot get an erection from her anymore?
That's a huge problem, and she shouldn't do that.
Who's responsible at that point? Are you going to say it's him 100%? You're responsible of your erection there, buddy. You got to get it up for her.
I mean, we know some couples.
I wouldn't say
right now.
that. Yeah, I wouldn't say you just got to get it up. I would say, when a guy is taking ownership of everything in his life, he would say, "How did I let it get to this?
How did he let what get to this? Like
how did I let her get to this
Let
point?
her
How
get
did
to
I
that.
let my marriage get to this point?" And that
can you
doesn't
force her?
absolve her of responsibility. Her responsibility is nested.
I know the
within
answer to that,
overall
GIFf.
frame.
They're afraid of divorce.
Okay.
So the leverage is not on his side, right? Because what authority can he enforce, and what leverage does he have when she's like, "I could just leave you if you don't like the way our arrangement is. I'll just leave, and I could take half. I'll get custody and child support for the kids."
Yeah, this is a
I'll let everybody know that you watch porn.
underlier to this whole topic, right?
Sure.
Because men don't feel like they have the authority, and they don't really, to really enforce any of the stuff for their wife. So their wife, this is kind of where the argument comes in. Be grateful if you have a wife who's willing to respond, and give her some credit for that, because she doesn't have to. The state doesn't make her. The state actually makes it easy for her not to respond.
I did have that conversation with her at one point. I said, "Honey, you realize these guys on the internet say you've got me over the barrel, because I can't do anything. If you want to, at any point, you can go to the state, divorce me, get alimony and child support and whatever. And she's like, well, what has the state ever done for me? Why do I want half of the stuff when I can have all the stuff and you? Like this, I don't want the state. I choose you. And so you
got a good
her,
wife. Not everybody does.
Well, and that's true. Guilty as charged. She is a good wife. But the thing is, with the guys who come to me, and when we chart the path to a better place, a lot of the guys think they don't have any power. And what they find at the end is they have more power than they realized, a lot more than they realized. And so I do think one of the things that feminism and egalitarianism sells short is the way that women are wired to respond to a strong man. Okay. And it doesn't mean they have no agency, but it means the scale is tilted. Her own biology is pulling her in one direction. And if you can actually key into that in what you build, you become her path of least resistance to happiness.
What was that? Explain that. I'm sorry. I'm lost there.
You're lost there. So if the sort of man that you become, you can become someone that is her best option. You can appeal in who you are to her own hypergamy. And then her biology is on your side.
So then you are whatever improvement you're making, you're doing it for her.
No.
Well, why, you're putting her, you said you're setting it up for frame, but when you're improving to fit her, like her
no,
best option.
If
you're framing it to where if you're improving, if she's not giving you sex and you start making all these improvements to fit her best option, now she is your mental point of origin. What does she want me to wear? Does she want me to look a certain way? Does she want me to have bigger shoulders? Like, you're filtering it through her.
Guys always start like that because that's where the pain is, right?
But isn't that what you would be doing though?
No, because to break out of that, you have to build your own frame. That's another red pill line that I love is the stay plan is the go plan. It's the same thing. The only thing that gets out of this is when you build a life for yourself that you want to live, whether or not she stays and goes. That's the only thing that disrupts this status quo, where in the past you've been jumping through all these hoops, trying to chore play your way into things improving.
Because, okay, I would say this, like, there, at some point you have to pull the ripcord. You got to eject, because I would say, you know what, if she's not giving you sex, if you guys are not having, if you're in a sexless marriage, I would say that she is being sexually immoral, and that would be grounds for divorce.
Okay, and you can divorce her anytime. Like, if that's what you want, you can do that. What I try to give the men I work with is options before they get to that point.
Yeah, but if the options is,
but if you don't want to lose your wife and your kids or everything else,
what are those options? I kind of want to hear what the options are.
The options. So for a lot of it is stop being a nice guy. And you're really stepping into kind of a different mode of being. A lot of these guys, that's what they've been taught, particularly with an evangelical upbringing or whatnot. Yep. Happy wife, happy life.
Leader.
Sort of that.
Biggest lie ever told to men.
You start getting fit because you actually care about your body. You start doing those hobbies that you gave up for her, and you start getting passionate about things that you're fired up on. If you take her on a date, you take her on a date somewhere where you're excited to go, and you're excited to bring her in because you want to see how she reacts.
What does stop being a nice guy look like? Like, especially when it comes to how, because you feel like if he's already being deprived of sex, right? What does not being a nice guy look like?
See, I want to say they're both being deprived of sex. They both have a crappy sex life. But
we don't know that for sure.
She's got something dormant in her.
No,
She's
we're
got something
assuming.
dormant in her. There's a fire that she could have.
what
She could
is,
like sex. She
like-
could like sex, and she has no idea that she could.
Okay, so let's just say to you, like, I just want to, if I'm right or wrong, okay, you can tell me if I'm wrong. If a nice guy is going to work, coming home, helping her with whatever she asks for, right? So goes
Right.
to a shift to come home to
Helping.
another shift, okay? And he suddenly decides, well, I'm going to stop being the nice guy. What does that look like exactly?
Well, I mean, you can't, the guys can't necessarily change everything at once. Part of it is stop doing stuff. If you're doing anything just for her affirmation, stop doing it. You start only doing things that you care about and that you would want done regardless if she gave you an attaboy for it.
Okay,
So that's a huge
okay,
thing.
stop doing things for her admiration. So doing things for her admiration, she tells you the dishes, that's doing something for her admiration. Paying the bills, that's doing something for her admiration, right? Let's say we stop all that because
Well, wait,
that's
wait,
for
wait.
her admiration, right?
Well, sure.
Where does that leave a man?
I don't know. So if you're a single guy, though, if you're a single guy,
But no. I want to just focus on marriage because that's really where we are.
well, but right. But the point is, would you not pay your own bills and would you not wash your own dishes?
So that's,
Oh.
in other words, what you're telling me is,
You're proving my point, though. Like, in a sense, like, what does a woman provide a man that a man cannot provide himself, other than sex and children?
I mean, what does my wife provide me for anything other than sex and children? Absolutely.
No, that you cannot provide yourself.
Right.
Are you
you
only
got-
doing your own dishes? I'm stuck on the dishes.
No, well, my point and my answer to her to Gia here. Here's the frame that works, is that you wash the dishes. If you decide to wash any dishes, it's because you want those dishes clean. If you pay a bill, it's because you want that bill paid. That's the change, and it's a
so
change.
if the
in
man
spirit.
doesn't want to, if he doesn't want to,
If he doesn't want to, he stops doing it.
and if she's already depriving him of sex, isn't that going to make it worse? Isn't that going to make her more resentful?
At initially, yes, she's gonna shit test him out the wazoo. Absolutely. I see it happen over and over and over again. They go through this process. And initially, she's gonna be like, "What are you doing? You're mean." She'll push against it. Absolutely. And he's got to learn frame. Right. That's the thing that starts to change stuff when he does that. And what she finds over time as she pushes this, and it doesn't immediately break, it doesn't immediately fold. And then he starts saying, I want to take us on a vacation. We're going to go to the beach. She said, I don't want to go to the beach. I want to go in the mountains. And he's like, yeah, give me an argument for the mountains. Is it really better? She's like, no, I just like it better. And I'm not going to the beach. She's like, all right, hon, well, I'm taking the kids. We're going to go to the beach. You can stay here. And so she's just like, wait a second. Now I don't get to go to the beach with my family. Like, there's what he's done is he hasn't tried to control her. He started doing things. He started living the life that he wants to live. And then as that starts solidifying, she finds more and more that it kind of sucks to not be on board with what he's doing. And if she does get on board with what he's doing, life gets better.
Okay,
That's
so
a big
Rob,
if. That's
Rob
a
and
huge
Avis,
if.
I want to hear from you two. What do you think about what he just said? Would that work in your relationship?
They're not in that bad place.
Yeah.
See, it's still a field of dreams thing.
No, I really want to hear, like, what do you think, guys? Like, I want to hear your opinion on it. Do you agree with that?
I mean, my whole approach to this thing is, like, I set the standard. I tell us what the expectations are. I make sure she has the tools and resources she needs to meet the expectations. And it's up to her to respond to that. Right. And I'm going to do what I'm going to do regardless. I don't know any other way to answer that question. I mean, that's how I view it. That's what's
Okay,
worked.
so am I right or wrong for saying basically what you're doing is you're letting her know where your boundaries and your standards are. You're making her aware, correct?
Yes, correct.
And then if she doesn't come along, you move forward, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Right.
So
But in our scenario, I would go to the beach because Rob would be like, as a family, we're going to the beach. We're not going to the mountains. You don't get to say that you're going to stay home.
Okay.
Right?
Because what
Yeah.
I hear, and I think like where
I mean,
there's
that's
a
the
disconnect.
That a
expectation.
boy, Rob. That a boy.
I think where there's a disconnect here and the communication is you have to make your wife aware of what you will and will not put up with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's less about
Tell me
manipulation
about that.
or
Well, I'll let you
frame, and it's more about making her aware of what you will and will not put up with. Okay, whether it comes, you need to do it early. It needs to be before the commitment. But let's just say you're finding out these things later on. Make her aware and then move forward.
But that is what I've said, and that is what I mean by frame. You say put up with. What do you mean by put up with?
A woman is going to
Tolerate
disrespect you.
what she
Yeah,
tolerate.
Okay, so I'm not going to tolerate this. How are you not going to tolerate it? How is he not going to tolerate it? I'm not going
And-
to tolerate you not coming to the beach with us. What's
Well,
he gonna
why
do?
does it need? Why does it need to get to that point? You understand? You
Oh,
know where
oh,
I'm coming from.
Sure.
If
I
the
absolutely
sex-
grant that.
if the
but
sex
when
is
I'm
being
starting and working
restricted-
with these guys, they are at that point.
Yeah, like what you're doing is like you're taking them from after they have already established this framework of being the beta provider,
Yeah.
right? And you're going to they're
Try it
trying
out.
to, save their marriage by becoming a different version of themselves.
Mhm.
They have to recreate themselves, which is
Absolutely.
fine. But like we do know that like statistically, it's like almost a 50-50 shot where like it can either go either way. Either you're gonna get
I'd
guys
say
that have a
80-20
covert
based on
contract.
what I've seen.
You have guys with covert contracts that will say like, okay, I'm gonna do this, and then she's gonna like me because GIFf said that if I build it, she will come, right? And what about the guys that do
Life is
that
a betting
don't
man's
get
game.
them? Like, what if they
Yeah,
don't get the outcome?
That's where the stay plan is the go plan, right? Because you're right. It's a covert contract. If you say, I'm guaranteed if I do this, if I change things around, she is going to come around. And you are guaranteed nothing in
So
life.
you're going to make yourself a better man, and she's either going to come with you or you're going to be a better man for the next one.
That's right. That's right. And and the thing is, the more in your mind you're doing it, but there's still that covert contract in there. I'm doing it for her. I know if I do this, she'll turn around. And it's hard because that's the way that the guys start operating. But the ones that have success break out of that entire idea. And they're like, I would do this anyway. I would do this if she didn't change a thing. I'm going to do this because this is the life I want.
How do you
And
reckon?
Paradoxically, that's the thing that has the highest chance of spurring and cultivating the desire for change.
How do
The
you, how do
only
you,
real authority you have in a marriage is to walk out of the marriage. That's really
right. That's what I was gonna say. How do you
Yeah.
reconcile?
I disagree. I
Well, I mean,
disagree.
if they
okay.
call
You
me-
can disagree, but can you explain your point on why you disagree?
Yes, absolutely. Because there are 1,000 ways in which you can walk away without getting divorced. There are 1,000
Does
situations.
this involve sex with women other than your wife?
Sure. I mean, like, there's no reason you can't. You can do whatever you want.
I mean,
The
that's
question is,
effectively
does that
ending the
fit- does
marriage.
that fit your goals? And is that that's going to position you well to a life that you want to live? But what I'm saying is that with the sort of situation that the guys that come to me are in, they don't have one tool. I have the button that launches the nuke, and that's the only authority I have. No, the more you build yourself into something where she is going to miss out if she doesn't get at you. There's like the example I gave, she misses out on the trip to the beach before she misses out by being divorced. There's thing after thing after thing that she is going to miss out if she resists being in your frame. And that's the point. That's where I think that the guys who say all you can do, the only authority you possibly have is pushing the divorce button. I
Do
say,
you
no, there's a
believe,
lot of stuff you can do before you get to that.
Do you believe a woman who deprives sex is breaking her vows in the marriage?
I would say if that were absolute, then yes. But I don't
What do you
think
mean if
if
it's
a woman is not in the mood and says no on a particular night, that she's violated her marriage vows. I don't agree with that.
1 Corinthians 7 again?
Yeah, I don't think that's what 1 Corinthians 7 is saying.
Then what do you think it said? Like, what do you think it implies then? Because I mean, the thing is pretty clear, where it says not to deny one another except for a great amount of time, committing to fasting and prayer.
Agreed. Remember that. Agreed.
Yeah,
It has to be
like,
agreed.
Sure. Right. There's mutual consent. But I don't think that means that a wife can't say, honey, I really don't want to tonight. I feel awful. That's you violated.
I can't say that. I'm saying that if there's nothing wrong with her, she shouldn't say that.
Yeah.
Like if she's puking,
I think everybody agrees.
Here's the bigger point. But the bigger
reason,
point
right?
that I would make, Glenn, is that I don't want that.
well, I wouldn't want that either.
I don't want her obligated compliance. I don't want her duty sex.
You're right. You're right.
But
Nobody
you
does.
still-
Nobody
so
wants that.
You're still obligated. You still have your. What about your obligated?
You want
compliance?
to
If
give
we're
it
talking
freely.
on obligations, we're talking about obligated compliance. We're not talking about the thing that I'm wanting to build.
But
So
what about your obligated compliance?
I don't. What do you mean?
You have the obligation to protection, providing. There's a lot of things that you're obligated that you have to do. There's times that you get up and you don't want to. You're tired, or you're sore from work. You still got to go out there and do it. That's obligated compliance.
Sure.
What about your obligated compliance? Do you get to option out of your obligated compliance?
I would say that with a man that truly has frame, never does a thing he doesn't want to do. He's just honest about everything he does. And so it's like, I don't want to go to work.
I can pull my husband here, and that's absolutely false. We all know that's false. That's not an accurate statement. We all know that we do think I go to the gym and I don't want to be there at the gym.
I just talked
Do you
about that.
really not want to be there?
Yeah.
No, there are plenty of times I do things that I feels like work, but I do them anyway for the long game. So that's an inaccurate
You want
statement.
something else more.
Just this morning, I mean, Avis had to go get some blood work done. She was fasted. Her hormones are a mess, whatever. Like, she didn't sleep well. She didn't want to go to the gym, but you know what? We got up. She went. She didn't complain. She went. Right?
I didn't
You
complain.
just-
Ooh.
Well, okay. Maybe I'm stretching a little bit there.
You just
But you
proved
did
it.
it.
GIFf,
Yeah.
you just proved it. You said because you want something more. That statement in itself proves why saying no to your husband's advances for sex goes against long-term marriage, because long-term marriage knows that sex helps the connection. It is the glue that holds the relationship together. So by saying no, you're not thinking about how that's going to affect your marriage.
I don't think necessarily. I think duty sex can actually be worse than no sex.
Are we
I mean,
actually
I would
sitting
say
here
that
talking? We've already debunked the duty obligation thing. We've already said nobody should be doing duty sex.
No, everybody
We
agrees.
want
duty sex
freely
sucks or
given
doesn't suck or whatever it is.
desire, right?
But you're
All of us
saying
said that when you give freely, you know that everything you do is for the greater good. And that is why you do not say no to your husband. This conversation to me is going around in circles at this point. We've already squashed this. It takes mutual effort in a relationship to keep that marriage alive.
I think it's more detrimental in the long run when you tell guys it's your fault that your wife didn't want to bang you.
I think it depends on how. Like, I do agree that the message that a lot of men have been given for however long of, yeah, just suck it up, it's all your fault, and they're not given any tools. They're not they're not shown a framework and tools to execute on what they want. Yes, I do think that's harmful. But if they are given the tools to be able to like take total ownership of it is actually very empowering, and it's the thing that steers them out.
Okay, let me give you a scenario. Husband goes to a pastor. All right. Now I actually sat in on this. I'm gonna tell you a story that I actually sat in. I'm gonna leave the names out of it because I was the youth pastor at this point. But husband goes to the pastor because his wife, the wife went to the pastor first, told her that she caught her husband watching porn, right? And the pastor hits me up. hey, we're going to do a counseling session. I need you to
Pastor was
sit
like,
in
hey, me too.
you know,
No, I wouldn't say that.
sit in on the
Happens a
counseling
lot.
session, just for like, the integrity's sake and everything. So I'm like, all right, cool. I'm sitting there and the pastor is ripping him a new one, like you're watching.
Stop
porn.
it.
You know how bad that is. How do you think that made your wife feel when she said who the women that you are looking at and you're masturbating to and making her feel insecure? Just lay it in on him.
Mm-hmm.
30 minutes in, the guy says underneath his breath, did you even want to know why I was watching porn? And me being dumb, the pastor's like, what did he say? He said he wants to know if you want to know why he didn't watch porn, and the pastor's like, why does that matter? You're doing wrong. You shouldn't have been doing that anyways. He's like, we haven't had sex in 6 months. Right? And he's like, well, you're probably not just being a good enough servant leader. You're obviously not being a good enough servant leader. If you just served your wife better, then your wife would be willing to have sex with you.
Yeah.
No, the wife was having an affair for 6 months already.
I mean, that frustrates me to no end, because I was 25 years. Like I said, I was hooked on porn for 25 years. And yeah, there's a lot of like, just stop it. Just stop it. Just pray harder. Just do all that.
This is the point that I'm trying to get to. The pastor's telling him, just be a better servant leader. I'm going to try to be a better servant leader, try to serve his wife more according to the way that he was told to. And it didn't even matter. It had nothing to do with what he was doing, because her agency, she still has the choice to decide whether she's going to continue and withholding from her husband and maintaining this affair, or that she was actually going to end the affair and fix their marriage. She still had a choice. It didn't really matter what he was doing. So this idea of total responsibility, I can't accept it. I tell guys, you need to take responsibility for what is your fault, right? What is your responsibility? What if you dropped the ball? How could you have done better? Yes, but I cannot make them take responsibility for another person's choices, right? Because she still has the right to choose whether she wants to accept and, be open to all these new changes that her husband's doing, or she can still have that wall up and say, you know what? I don't want it. Like the probability may be better in his favor, but the fact is that she still has agency, and we cannot remove her agency and her choices that she's making that's causing problems in this marriage. And to put it all on him, it's just as bad as saying you're not a good enough servant leader. That's why your wife left you. You know what I'm saying?
So Glenn, what would you do? What would you do to fix that situation?
Oh, I'll bring them both in and be like, okay, come here. Hey, why are you wanking? Oh, because she ain't giving you none? Okay, ma'am, why aren't you making yourself available for your husband? What's going on here? Does he not look good no more? Do you get a belly? Is he like, what he snore? Tell me, what is he doing wrong? Okay, so you don't know. You last 2 minutes. She needs about 15. Her engine is not even warmed up by the time you start. You're already done. Okay, so we need to work on your ability. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would sit there and have the hard conversation, because I'll be telling you, you open the door for him to be tempted and watch pornography. He would not have that temptation there if you were available to him. So it goes both ways here. Like he's wrong.
This is going back to what I keep saying. Like, and GIFf, help me understand this, because you and I have bantered about this on X.
Right.
But I just can't imagine a dude is like sitting at his computer, wanking it, watching porn, and he's like, "Wow, this is so much better than if I was doing this in real life." Like, I just like, is that a thing? Like, why?
It is a different kind of thing. I mean, I don't know how much experience y'all have like coaching people who have been hooked on porn and are trying to get out of it.
We're not coaches. We're not,
and find that they can't, right? And like what that looks like in their
Are they
life.
also having sex with their wives, or are they replacing all of that with porn, generally speaking?
Their experience of it is almost a different kind of thing.
But are they doing both, or?
Yes.
Oh.
Plenty of them.
But is the sex that they're having with their wife
when I was hooked on porn was 15 years, I wasn't having no sex. I wasn't having the definition of a sexless marriage.
I actually agree.
Is equivalent sex though?
I actually agree, because I have helped people through this. And I do agree with GIFf saying that it is a different thing. There is a lot of it comes from a selfish desire. Okay. But we are still not addressing.
I wouldn't say it like that. I'd say they have a life they want to escape from.
It's a lot easier to have your needs being met. Okay. And seeing that desire and the body and everything that you want from a woman. Okay. It's a lot easier to do that to porn. If your wife doesn't keep up her body, isn't dressing up sexy for you, isn't doing those things for you. What I'm trying to get at is that in all the couples that I have helped, when the wife took ownership, okay, of her own sexuality, start dressing up, start doing these what he's wanting, what he wants to be pleased, all that went away. So until your wife takes ownership, I mean, a woman that lays down and turns off the light and is a starfish is never going to give you what you get from porn. Let's be real.
Yeah. It's just a matter of what's more satisfying is how I imagine. I mean, I know you're saying that there is some delineation, but is the porn that people are watching who are still having sex with their wives, is it equivalent sex?
It's a different sort of thing. It is a magical feel-good button, right? It is their thing that they use to regulate their own dissatisfaction with living a life that they want to escape from. That is what porn does. And the reason why that's so harmful in the life of a man is that it strips from him the ethos that it takes for a guy to pull himself out of a life that he wants to escape from. Right. And so one of the problems with porn, especially if you've been watching it from puberty, is it trains you to see sex as an escape rather than sex as something that I build. Sex as a drive that I go in and I just go at and I grab something that I want. Like,
real quick, we're going to go to a
different posture.
We're going to go to a quick commercial break just for the sponsors. We'll be right back, you guys.
What's up, guys? Gia MaCool here. I am holding one of the brand new flavors from First Form, the maple butter. And this is what I use every single morning. It is by far the best products. And I've tried a lot of products in the market. First Form, 100% third-party tested. And on top of that, they taste amazing and they're great for you. So if you haven't tried it, definitely do so. I've added my link down below. The best flavor. I use this in my pancakes in the morning. I also do it in my yogurt. So there's so many ways that you can put the level 1. And of course, I do try the formula one, which is more of an isolate protein. But if you're looking for a whey that tastes amazing and doesn't give you all the bloat and all the nonsense that you deal with other protein powders, this is it. Check it out and let me know. I'm going to add a link. If you grab it, make sure you let me know and I'll send you a little free gift.
All right, fellas, listen up. If your freak off game is so weak and your girl is so dry, she's pretending she's in a coma just to get through it, you are needing some serious help. I'm talking drier than a Dave Ramsey's budgeting seminar. You need something slick, something smooth, something nastier than your browsing history. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Diddy Oil. That's right. The bad boy himself finally put that swagger juice in a bottle.
What we're going to do right here is we're going to smooth it out. Come on.
Diddy Oil makes everything slicker than a politician's promise in November. I ain't joking. It's smoother than 90s R&B. Wetter than Cardi B's lyrics.
Yeah, you tellin' with some wet and gushy.
Even guaranteed to make you whisper things that you never thought you would say. Like,
take that, take that, take that.
all of a sudden you'll be acting crazy, acting bad, like Diddy.
Act bad. Yeah, come on. Act bad, 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 act bad.
So what are you waiting for? Go out there and get your own bottle of Diddy Oil so you can act as bad as you want and be a bad boy for like. Where am I getting these fucking sponsors from? This is disgusting. No, I don't want no man's Diddy Oil. What the fuck? The diddler? I don't want no diddler oil. I mean, come on. What? Yeah, I know Kid Cudi. What are you trying to say? He's gonna blow up my car? I don't want him to blow up my car. You know what? Go out there and get your own bottle of Diddy Oil today. Yep, that's right. The Diddler's Diddy Oil today. I don't want my car blown up. You think that's good? He ain't gonna try to diddle me, right? Okay. Man, we need to get better sponsors. I mean, there's a buy one get one free coupon somewhere.
I'm so glad I shared all that with my followers.
I mean, if you can't
Don't
get
ever
the
stand into
satire,
anything for you, Glenn.
I mean, if it's satire, you can't get. I mean, it's making fun of the whole thing.
That was Glenn's entire point of inviting you here, GIFf. He just wanted
That was it. That was it. All 13,000 of them.
Hey, play the little rewind button.
The rewind button.
Yeah, rewind.
You got to do the hands, apparently.
Yeah, do it. He wasn't ready.
Oh, did you guys hear it?
No,
No.
I did it.
It should be playing.
I got no.
No. So I kind of like want to go back to what you said. So you said sex shouldn't be an escape, right? That's what you said?
Yes.
Okay, so why can't sex be many things at once? Why can't it be a connection, bonding, stress relief, temporary escape? Why?
I'd grant that there is in a healthy relationship, there could be, sometimes where it can be an escape and be healthy.
Okay, because I mean, like music is
I'm not going to
an
say
escape,
absolutely never, but
right? Music is an escape.
but
Exercise,
that shouldn't be the predominant category.
But we have to remember that there's healthy escape, right? The reason why I want to bring out this distinction, because we have to understand that there is healthy escapes and then there are avoidant escapes. So there's two types. And if we have to be very careful in sex, because if we start adopting this, it can't be a healthy escape, or it can't be a stress relief, or it can't be fun. It can't be a bonding. It can't be enjoyable. Now we're going to that other side of extremes where we think that it's just for procreation. And that's going along with the purity culture.
No, that's not where I'm coming from.
Okay.
I'm coming from the particular situation where a guy has been looking at porn since puberty and has had a very kind of childish, self-soothing association with his own sexuality, and that doesn't equip him with the kind of ethos it takes to thrive as a man sexually. That's
okay. What about the guy that doesn't deal with? What about the guy that hasn't watched porn?
So, tell me about the guy.
Like maybe he watched it like a few times, growing up, because his buddies were they say like maybe less than 5, right? What's the solution for him in this sense? Now he's an adult. His wife's not giving him any, and he's pent up. And what's the solution for him? Because it seems like your solution is for this category of men who find themselves have this habitual habit of consumption, and they've used it to pacify themselves, right? But what if you're dealing with somebody that doesn't have that problem, that porn consumption in his upbringing or his childhood years was not there?
Well, I'd look at his situation, right? Like a lot of the guys that I deal with, not all of them, but a lot of the guys I deal with still have that kind of nice guy covert contract thing going on, where he's just responding to her lead and everything and kind of chasing her affirmation. So even if he doesn't have a problem with porn, like if he's just been jumping through hoops and it's not getting him anywhere, then I would try to show him the other path and walk him through step by step in the ways that he can break out of that and start building a frame of a life he wants to live. That's what I do.
I mean, you agree that men crave novelty, correct?
Oh yeah, no, the Coolidge effect is a thing.
Okay, so like we know that, let's say he never watched porn. Let's just say he stumbled across it like over time.
Do our viewers know about the Coolidge effect? Should we tell them about that?
Well, I would kind of like, I don't want to lose this train of thought. So let's just say he hasn't been watching porn. It's not something that was, he was exposed to, but he stumbled upon it because of what's going on in the marriage. Now he's seeing things that his wife never done before. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to also address that, like that has an effect on him. So it doesn't always have to do with just just for something that he's seen. Like maybe he never watched it and he's just seeing things that, wow, I want to experience this because this is part of male sexuality. To
That's
have
locker
novelty.
room talk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the fact that there's so much that the two of them could experience that
Mm-hmm.
they're not, and they're limited by, their own imagination. They're limited by their own inhibitions or just the pattern that they've gotten in. So absolutely, I think, I mean, a lot of times, like, I know a decent portion of the guys who I work with, they're like, well, the frequency isn't really the problem. It's just, it's not fulfilling. It's not what I want.
This is why women have to be their own personal husbands, porn stars.
And conversation, right? I mean, like maybe she
It has
just
to be
doesn't
enthusiastic.
know what he
Yeah.
wants.
What about this? Like, what about the guy that, like, finds his wife's, like, went through her, like, old box in her parents' house and then college tape on a VHS. And the next thing you know, you found out she was on Girls Gone Wild. And she did the wild thing back then. And what you got is like lights off, missionary, this, like, hurry up, get it over with. Like, she's not, but like you saw her really enthusiastic over there, but you're not getting that. And that's been your norm. But you're like, you want some of that. And she's like, like, what about that? Like, because that would be the same thing. That could
What do you think about that situation? What's the problem there?
She desired the other guys more than she desired him. She has a desire issue.
Why does she desire them more than her own husband? He's a better guy.
Says who? Because the guy that she was doing that for, she didn't make him.
Throughout this whole conversation, I'm sitting here going, man, we are doing a stellar job of selling marriage.
This is where the disconnect is, and we'll wrap up here soon, because I don't have a huge problem with a lot of what you're saying. I do think men need to take accountability for their roles and for their shortcomings, absolutely. And I do think that holding the mindset of maybe it's me is better than automatically assuming it's them, right? Because we already have a lot of people go, it's their fault. The reason why everybody's like the divorce happened is because they married some crazy chick, or that he was a narcissist. All right, we already know that's the talking points.
Yeah,
so
blaming is never good. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everybody's so quick to put the blame on somebody else, and nobody's willing to take the hard look at themselves and be like, this is where I dropped the ball, right? I always say guys have the responsibility of creating the environment, right, that their relationship is going to grow in. So if you do not,
I use the word frame.
Same thing, but if you want the environment for your wife to be sexy, you need to have the ambiance. Okay, that's why the environment, the vibe works there. The problem that I have is that he could be doing these things and she's still rejecting him. Right. So I have to acknowledge that the failure of this marriage is going to fall on both parties here. OK, and to say that, like, if a guy ends up watching porn, that it's solely his fault, it's not, because the Bible doesn't even say that. The Bible says, do not deprive each other. And then when you do, come join back together so you are not given into temptation. So you, in a way, are just like are refuting or disputing with what the Bible says there, where it says, like, join back together so Satan does not tempt you, right? Well, if the wife is not joining back with her husband and you're saying it's his fault, then regardless of she's being disobedient here or not, you're absolving her of her this responsibility here for the marriage. And I can't accept that. That's almost like saying being a better servant leader,
Well, so the way I see responsibility is that her responsibility is nested inside his. And that's where I want to focus about.
But it's not, though. It's a mindset.
Okay. Well, I mean, maybe we disagree there. So that's
well, it's not even about disagreeing. It's like, we know that if you study female sexuality, there's plenty of data out there. It's a mindset. So it doesn't matter what you do as a man. If her mindset isn't right, you could be doing everything. And she's still, it comes down to sexual agency and sexual responsibility must go together. They're hand in hand. And once you remove that and you make it more about you or one person, that is actually creating a woman who doesn't have agency. It's removing responsibility away from her.
Well, I'm certainly not wanting to remove responsibility or agency from anyone. That's not what I'm
Okay.
getting at.
Well, good, good. Because there's
but
a lot
I-
of stuff. I think there's a lot of stuff that you do talk about that's great. You know, I just want you
Oh,
to
I
be
agree
open.
with like 95% of what GIFf says. It's just this
Yeah,
very
No, I
I just
just
think
think
it's
that's
like
my biggest-
open to that side. You have to be open to that side. That's all.
See,
I'm saying.
what I do think in a lot of these situations is we have this, and you've talked about this, Gia, this like this nice guy beta provider script that the guys are given in the church or in the culture, that I do this and she's going to be attracted to me. And that is a huge thing that we don't have, except in the red pill that it's offered to them. There's a counter script, but the counter script is also with a healthy side of like, you know, women are just awful and irredeemable, right? There's a lot of that in the water. So it's like there is a counter script, but they're not taught it in the church. And so what I want to see in relationships where the guy's like, hey, well, you know, obviously there's fault to be said on both sides, is I want to see the changes in the guy happen first. And then once
But sometimes it does. I agree, but sometimes that doesn't happen. Is what I'm trying to say.
What if the guy has already made all of the changes?
Right.
That's
And
good.
right. And I'm not saying that, you know, you're guaranteed that she's going to come around. What I'm saying is you play the odds. And life is a betting man's game, and you position yourself as best as you possibly could. And that's why the stay plan is the go plan. So, but I do want to emphasize that it really is important because of the nature of intersexual dynamics, that he take the first step. And then when he has, and he's disrupted the status quo and shifted things around, then there becomes the option for her to organically respond to him in a way that wasn't really open to her when he was just this beta provider that didn't light her fire at all.
But
What
GIFf,
if-
isn't
what
that
about
kind
the
of like
part,
isn't it like a contrasting message in a way? Because you're like, it's your fault. You take responsibility, extreme ownership. But then the example Avis just gave over here of saying he's done all that. The wife
just
still has
didn't
to
feel better.
respond. She didn't respond. Are you still saying, well, that's still your fault?
The extreme ownership in that case may be, you know, what do I do because I'm taking ownership of all of this? What do I do that's going to be best for the kids? What do I do that's going to be the best thing for me and for her?
I saw my brother play that game. It didn't work out well.
So let me ask you this:
My point is that I'm not saying that there's no case where you got to walk away, but even then you do that from a frame.
But would you tell that man it's his fault?
I'm not telling him it's your fault. I'm saying that if he takes that on himself, he's going to find agency and power from it.
He already has agency.
I'm not putting it on his shoulders. It's not up to me to put it on his shoulders. It's on him to take up and say, I'm going to take ownership for everything in my world. And I'm going to position myself for everything I have control over. I'm going to position myself so that everything in my world has the maximum chances of getting the results I want to see.
But
Let me
okay,
ask you,
That's
let's say
extreme.
a woman, what if a wife, like, you know, she's like premenopausal or postmenopausal, like her hormones are going to be off. What about, like, you know,
Glenn is not picking on you. Avis.
feeling attacked.
Also, like, okay, wait a second, because I just want to make something clear that I don't understand. GIFf, are you saying that the initiation must come from a man?
I think what's the word for it? I'm not going to say absolutes because people in life is messy, but very much the odds are stacked in that favor.
Okay, so then what you're basically, if he's initiating, what you're doing is you're making sex a reward. You're making the man the performer. You're making the woman the gatekeeper. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Not really.
Yeah, you are, though. That's exactly what happens. It kills the polarity. It kills the desire.
When men initiate,
If he's always the initiator, you make sex a reward. You make the man the performer, and you make her the gatekeeper.
Walk me through that. I'm not seeing you've got a
Glenn,
point
you know
here.
where I'm coming from with this, right?
Yeah, like basically saying that you're whatever you're doing, you're leveling up or whatever. You're doing this as a dancing monkey to perform for her and hoping that she parts the.
Well, I've already said that doesn't work.
But she's
So-
wondering how is it any different because it sounds like that's what. That's
Yeah,
what she's trying to
if
say.
you say that the man has to be the initiator, every single time he gets sex, it now becomes a reward for him. Oh, I did the right thing. She gave me sex. Ha ha ha. Now
No,
you
that
become
doesn't
the
work.
performer, and now she becomes the gatekeeper of, oh, I'm only going to give it to him because he has to initiate first. And if he's doing what I want, you see what I'm saying? It kills the polarity. It kills the desire.
No, I 100%. That doesn't work.
So then, what would? Okay,
So when I'm talking about if he has just been in that beta provider frame and he has no edge to him, right? Him going on a journey and really, I would say, kind of becoming a man, right? That is his step. And then what happens in her as there's a bunch of shit testing around it, as things are shaken up and the dust begins to settle. In the face of the new reality, what she does in response is her answer to that. And that's where I'm saying her
So that's
agency then is-
covert. That's covert control, though. That's not intimacy.
No. Not at all.
Glenn, do you hear this? Am I the only one
I mean,
hearing
it
this?
does come off as a covert contract because you're hoping that this will be a better outcome. But I think we already covered like the covert.
Right.
We mentioned the
Yeah.
covert contract in the beginning. Before and you acknowledge that it starts off like that, but you're trying to get them to change their mindset.
Mhm.
My thing is, but what if it's a hormonal issue? You know, I'm not picking on you, Avis.
That's
like-
that's a big cope too.
Okay, so here's my take on that. I mean, as a
I wanna see,
perimenopausal
like,
woman,
where he gets with this because, like, that is out of your control. You can't tell a woman or your wife to take, hormones or balance her hormones. You can't force them.
But Glenn, I genuinely desire Rob. Mentally, I know this. So even when my hormones are like, I still genuinely desire him. And if he initiates sex, I definitely respond. And, I might not be as in the initiating mindset as I usually am, but in my mind, I
it's a-
overcome my body.
Golf
Am I
clap,
explaining
golf
that right?
Yeah.
Huh?
What's that?
Yeah, yes, that's exactly right. You're absolutely right. So when a
Yeah.
woman, it doesn't matter whether a woman has libido issues. It doesn't matter whether her hormones are screwed up. When a woman
Yes.
desires a man, she isn't going to let that get in the way.
Right.
You
Never
understand?
have I ever regretted sex with Rob.
Thank you.
But what if it is an issue? So let's just say,
No, it's definitely an issue, but you find a way around it. Meaning,
Well, it's a
like-
difference between the women that use their agency to work
Mhm.
through it for the better of their marriage and the women who don't.
Yeah.
Yep.
Plus,
Do I
at the
walk
end of
in?
it, it's better for me too. Right? Like
Mhm.
Gia, you have sex with Joe. It's always a good experience at the end.
Yep. And I'm not doing it just for myself. So I enjoy giving.
Mhm.
It comes down to the whole have more joy in giving than receiving. It comes down to the same thing.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean,
Sometimes
what
literally.
y'all are talking about, let me just be very clear here. What y'all are talking about is the place that I want every one of these guys to get to and every one of their wives to get to. And what I'm talking about is what the path looks like to get there if you're very, very far from it.
but the difference is though, these wives are taking responsibility and initiative and taking ownership of the success and of their marital, bliss and intimacy. They're taking responsibility there and knowing that they have a duty here to be a good steward of this.
Well, and
Or
it
it could
takes
be
away
bad.
credit from the wives that put the effort in because you're not giving them credit for putting the wives that do put the effort in, right? That are invested in their marriage.
See, I don't think that at all. I don't think a man who is a very skilled lead at a dance that takes all the credit away from a woman who's also very skilled in a dance and is in a following role. I don't think that
if a woman doesn't know how to dance, but he's a skilled dancer, can she dance?
Yes.
I don't know.
Really?
I had women step on my feet before, and I did.
How does that work? How does that work? Please
Hurt.
explain that.
It's a thing with men. It's not gonna be as good as if she were a skilled dancer.
Okay, now you
man-
just said it. So if you have to pick her up and walk her through those steps, you're not going to want to do that again. You might actually ask another girl who knows how to dance to do it.
Sure.
Here comes in the porn. Here comes in the porn. Do you see the analogy?
Spell it out for me.
I think we had a good lesson today. It's been good.
I'm not actually not entirely sure where you're going, but
So, Glenn, should I go through it again or?
She's basically talking about quality, all right?
oh yeah, if he's not getting good sex, he's going to go look at porn.
That's
It's not about porn. It's just about options. And what option are you leaving a man when he takes a commitment for monogamy, but that's actually celibacy? What options are you giving a man? Telling a man that you are his only sexual access, and then once he makes that commitment, taking that away from him, where do you leave him? What's his options?
This is reminding me of the whole porn has saved more marriages than it's destroyed.
I mean, there is that.
It's pacified. Yep, absolutely.
It pacifies.
It's a pacifier.
It's
not really saving the marriage, but it is
saving the marriage. It just prolongs.
It's preventing.
Yeah, what's the better way
Porn
of saying it?
prevents you from feeling your own pain, right?
Yeah.
That it numbs it. And
Yeah, it's a pacifier.
there's this neat thing about pain is
Not
that
at
it's
first,
motivated.
though. Not at first.
I mean, sure.
It definitely can turn into numbing and dissociation, but it actually is first out of relief. It starts with the relief, and then it's the habits that come after.
Yeah, I mean, those are both involved. But as far as you're talking about porn to save more marriage, save more marriage.
Prolonged is probably. I'm just quoting what other people say,
Pacified,
but prolonged is probably
Right.
a better.
Right.
way.
You don't feel the pain. You don't know. In a sense, you don't know it's as bad as it is. But the flip side of it is that when you finally do feel your own pain, you have the option to let it motivate you to shake up the status quo. And that's what I've seen happen a lot.
I mean, I think that, the only thing the guys could do is withdraw their meat. Okay. Their meat, their money, their energy, attention, and time. Okay. That's meat. Get your guys' heads out of the gutter. I saw you guys.
I got a jet, guys. It's been cool.
Gee, it's great to talk to you.
Yeah, it's very good to talk to you. I'm always up to hear new perspectives. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Avis. I appreciate you.
Yeah,
guys
for
coming
sure.
on.
Thanks for having us. It's fun
Yeah.
conversation.
Okay, we'll see y'all soon.
We're about to wrap up here in a few minutes, anyways. But
Sounds good.
Gia has to go in the kitchen.
Joe needs his dinner. Get on it.
But at the end of the day, the guy could do his best, and I think it's a failure to present anything to take full ownership of someone else's accountability. And I understand what you're saying, that she has responsibility to him, but if she doesn't respect him, she's not going to be abiding, or she's not going to have that sense of honor or sense of moral, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if the girls get the ick, they don't care about what they know that they should be doing. They just got
Right.
the ick. They don't want to do it. Right. And you're saying, like, well, regardless, you're still your fault. And I'm saying that mentality I get for like a large picture, but I think in a subcategory here, when it comes to two people, you cannot make somebody, no matter what you do, make them, respond the way you want them to. You could do things that may tip the scale in your favor, but to not acknowledge, like, hey, she has her own responsibilities here. She should, eagerly be trying to save this relationship and be just as much putting into making priorities of your intimacy with her, your sex life with her, because you said you don't like the word intimacy. You want to say sex. Okay, so the sex with her.
Let's be real here.
I'm with you. So she needs to see it as much as of a priority as you do. That's the only way that it works. And if you're saying, well, it's your responsibility, then you're saying that she doesn't need to see it as much of a priority. And it's like she's responding to you. Like, if you're not doing it right and she doesn't, like it, then it's still your fault. And that doesn't make sense. It's like almost saying better be a better servant leader. And I think that's dangerous. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think it's a slippery slope where you're at. Like, I mean, just for me, looking back and looking at it from a bigger picture, it's a slippery slope of almost like sounding very similar to just be a better servant leader.
The difference is the difference is the guy's actually having the tools for the job, right? If you have the tools and the framework and you act on them, then you can actually have success rather than just being given a bunch of blame and guilt and keep doing the thing that isn't working. But
even with the tools could they only tip you in your scale. They cannot project an outcome. They can't guarantee any success. And the framework needs to be like some things like, hey, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. All right. You could give her the world, but she could still reject it at the end of the day. And you have to take that rejection that's not on you. That's her choice that she has to own. Right. Like there has to be some ownership there,
I do think that we all have moral responsibility. We're all accountable to God for the way we live our lives. I mean, that's all very true. When I'm talking about her responsiveness, a lot of that I do think is I'm talking in terms of that whole beta provider thing. And if you haven't given her actual masculinity, then the kind of the best she can do is duty sex. Because
I do say, like, I agree with you, like set yourself up in the best position to where that you get the best outcome. Sure. But at the same time, I'm not going to say that. I tell guys all the time, even if you do set yourself up in the best position, just know that you set yourself up because you want to, for you, and you're not doing it for her. A woman is a product of your success. Okay, like men are success objects. Women are sexual objects, right? And the more you level up,
is that Myron? That sounds like Myron.
No, that's a Rollo.
Is that Rollo?
Yeah.
There's some truth to it. I wouldn't just say it, but there's some truth.
So I think, like, yes, I agree with 95% of what you're saying, but I cannot like say like it's all him. There's things that he could do to improve and better his odds, but at the end of the day, she still has responsibility here.
Yeah, and it's not, you're not selling marriage by putting this on this idea, like, because what you're really saying to men is it doesn't matter who you pick, which is not really true.
That could be.
I don't think that's my message at all.
No, I don't think that's what your message is intended to be.
Right.
But I get what Rob is saying, that like it's almost like saying it doesn't matter who you pick. You could pick the 304, or you could pick like the church girl. It doesn't matter, because if you're not being that guy,
right,
it's on you. You know what I'm saying? That's what I think he's getting at. And that is also another slippery slope.
I hear what you guys are saying, right? That you're like, you don't want to just give someone a bunch of guilt where they're just slamming their heads against something and it's not changing and they're just beating themselves up and it's not doing them any good. I don't think that's not really the philosophy behind extreme ownership. It's when you just take everything on with yourself and you position every situation, you look for what can I do, and you're not blaming other things, then what you find is that impact expands. But you're never guaranteed a perfect result. You're guaranteed that you're never going to sell yourself down the river.
Yeah, I just tell guys, have a gym bag, have it at the front door.
I love it.
And mentally divorce her until she's ready to play ball.
There's truth to that. I tend to have a little more. I'm not as severe as the red pill guys on that stuff in the way that I say it. Right. But it is that philosophy. It's you're going after what you want. And you
need to put a timeline on it. Like, hey, you know what? Obviously, I don't know what was going on here in our sex life, but you got about 3 months to figure this shit out. or you know, whatever the timeline that you need as you're setting your frame. I'm giving you 6 months to get yourself in order. Whatever you need to do, I'm working on me. You need to work on you, but you got 6 months. And if there's no improvement within 6 months, the medium is the message. You don't want this. So you have to.
There's definitely a place for that.
You know,
I think that belongs in all relationships, right? I mean, Rob and I talk about that all the time. It's the hard conversations. Like, at what point do you counsel your men to be like, hey, this is a problem. Let's talk about the causes, the fixes, what the future looks like.
Yeah, and then expect the other person to move in good faith towards resolving it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a core part of what leadership is, right? But the problem in so many of them from where they've started is that they don't have any pull. And the reason they don't have any pull is that they've been a follower just in the relationship. And she sees
they
them.
don't want to lose everything that they built too. You know,
that's the conundrum. I think that is just that we don't talk enough about is that, like I said earlier, men are afraid they're going to get wrecked in divorce. And it's like, you know, I mean, you guys have all heard me say it. Like, that's why I say you got to have the fuck it attitude. Just do what you know is right, regardless of the consequences. And I think GIFf, you and I would agree on that. I mean, it's kind of what you're saying to men is still do the right thing, right? But it's just a lot of men are in that place of like, oh man, but if she doesn't respond in the way that I need her to respond, like it's going to be a friggin' disaster for me. And then they end up kind of being led by the wife from the back seat.
Right. And she doesn't respect him for it.
Yeah.
Right. She knows. And even if she doesn't know here, she knows here.
Yeah. But it's just, but that is a reality men are dealing with.
This is where like the best Heat movie quote ever comes into play. Never get yourself into anything that you can't walk out in 30 seconds or less when the heat is around the corner.
Again, like there's degrees of walking away. And I prefer saying walk forward, right? It's not that it's like she's over here, so I'm going in the opposite direction. No, the state plan is the go plan. I'm going where I want to go, where I believe is the best way to go.
But again, I agree with, like I said, I like a lot of the things that you say, but the idea that like even a wife is not responsible for opening up the door to temptation by refusing her husband. Like I can't understand that, because I mean scripturally it says that not to deny one another, you know, so that you.
I do not think we should have a marriage. We should have marriages of people denying each other. Like
you see like how like, you know, here her denying him opens the door to temptation. So like
the thing that I'm pushing against is the way that's often used is because there's no polarity in the relationship, because there's no attraction, because there's no masculine edge from him, that what they do with that is, all right, give him the duty sex, because that's the only sex that he inspires in her, because she's not giving him anything to respond to. And
but
that
that's
is
almost kind of making guys a monolith in that sense. It's like it's only those guys. It's only the beta guys. What about the blue-pilled alpha guys? Like there are blue-pilled alpha guys, right? And what about those guys? They're very alpha. They could get women, you know, they get women throwing themselves at them all the time. And, you know, their wife is not into them, right? Like, I mean, there's so many different like dynamics here that we can't put men in a monolith. Because I do agree, a lot of them are betas. Sure, they're the beta providers and they have that mindset, and you're right. But there are guys that are not. And it's like we can't put them in a monolith and say like it's on you. Like, you know what I'm mean? Like they're
yeah, sure. I don't claim to have like this is the Reforged Marriage course I'm teaching. It's going to work for every guy. It's going to work for every relationship. It's going to work for an awful lot of them, especially the ones who have been on this track. And that's kind of where I'm particularly confident about. There are lots of other problems you could have in marriages besides this one.
Okay, before we wrap, I just want to see if I can get you to agree with me here. The wife denying the husband does open the door for temptation and opens the door for the porn to be an option now. Could you agree to that? It doesn't mean that he's going to do it. I'm just saying it opens the door for that temptation to be available to him.
I wouldn't want to just say it like that. I don't think that's what 1 Corinthians 7 is talking about. And I think that the way that statement is used is a recipe for duty sex. And I think that's a trap. I think that's not where we want to go.
I would say
what we want is for her to want him.
Yeah, that's where it's a mindset. It's like you don't have to look at it as a dude. You get to have sex with your husband.
Mm-hmm.
You get to. That's a mindset. So you know what the mindset of, don't deny your husband because you get to have sex with him and you get to make sure that temptation does not come into your relationship.
The thing I would say is you both have a duty to build for the marriage, to build for a solid sexual abundance in your marriage. Both of you have the responsibility to work for that with all your heart.
So I can't get you to agree that a wife denying her husband does open the door to temptation, which I think is kind of harsh. I think we should have agreed to that, if anything, because it seems like it's kind of common sense. But
I don't want to get into this because man's got to eat, and I'm getting pretty hungry myself.
Yeah, we got to go. No, here's the thing.
But I was gonna say role. Like I would like to have this discussion again and talk more about roles too, and because I think that's part of this, right? Like, is it like a husband and wife have distinct roles, and what is in those roles, right? And like also kind of another way to come in the back door to this discussion.
Whoa,
yeah,
no back doors.
right. And that's why I don't like the framing. Is I don't like guys going at this and getting the idea is that like she's got all the goods and she just needs to stop depriving me and then I'll have what I want. I think that undersells his power. I think it undersells the value to her of sexual abundance. And that's why I don't like the framing.
That's
all right.
fine.
Glenn's giving you the last word. Let's go eat.
Thank you guys for, we want to hear you guys in the comment section. Tell us what you guys think. Do you agree, with what GIFf was saying? Full ownership. It's your fault. No, I'm kidding. I don't want to frame it bad.
Shame on you. Stop it.
Or do you think that both parties involved in the marriage have the responsibility of maintaining that sexual desire for each other? Let us know in the chat. Thank you guys. Let me tell you about this one time, since Rob wanted to bring up the time I was a stripper.
Glenn walks in with a dominant presence. Voice cuts deep like a sermon with essence.